Hey everyone, Rick Becker here. I'm chair of End Unfair Property Tax Committee for the ballot measure. And we're going to have a measure on the ballot for you to vote on November 5th. This will end property tax as we know it and give you huge tax relief in your pocket. And it will keep 100% local control, and no services will be lost because not a single dollar is lost in funding. Okay, we are on to our next episode of Refuting the Opposition, setting the record straight. This time we're going with Senator Brad Bekkedahl. He put a letter to the editor, I think it was, in Williston. Brad's a good guy, but he also is a big spender, and all the big spenders don't like this measure because it takes some of the money that away from them that they can spend. So before we hit Brad's letter, I want to hit one thing for you, and that is if you go to endpropertytax.com on the About page, there's a document here called Wasteful Spending, and it talks about where some of the money can come from to replace the property taxes. Of course, we've got the excess revenue that we're expecting. We've got legacy fund earnings. There's a lot of places, but one of the places is this wasteful spending, and this really is where the legislature should be looking first, because they shouldn't even be doing this. A lot of this wasteful spending is under corporate welfare. You see here, corporate welfare. There's also pork. There's bloated government. And then there's also chasing down economic diversification and workforce development, both of which, by the way, we would be getting much more of if and when this measure passes. But here's what I want you to be aware of. What they can cut to replace property taxes, so you get to keep it in your pocket, would include things like $26 million they gave to a private company for drone technology. Another $10 million they gave to a private company to lease space out to other private companies for aerospace industry. We've got here, this one I love, $600,000 for a filmmaker to make a film about Governor Burgum's great-grandma. $20 million that they're just giving to residential developers. $140 million they're giving away to various private energy businesses. On and on and on. I mean, it's just crazy. $125 million for a fertilizer plant. $17 million they're paying off an old Teddy Roosevelt library loan. Over here under economic diversification, $95 million they're giving to a nonprofit entity whose job it is to give that $95 million out to other companies. Here they're giving $25 million for businesses to create tourist attractions. $25 million for businesses if they have any new ideas in agriculture. See, this is how it looks when a state has too much money and they're looking for ways to spend it. It goes on and on. So I want you to be aware of these things. We could go over a lot more, but it would take too much time. So I want you to be aware of these things as we go through Brad Bekkedahl's letter to the editor. So let's hit that right off the bat. All right. So here we've got Brad's letter. And he talks about unintended consequences. I'll highlight some of the areas for you. He says he's not advocating one way or the other. They all say this. They give incredibly bad commentary. They present it as fact. They give a lot of scary what ifs, a lot of fear. And then they say, hey, listen, you vote how you want. We're just trying to present it. I'm not in saying one way or the other. You just do whatever you think is best after I've told you all of these things that are not true to scare the hell out of you. That's what they're all doing. Okay. So when we go down further into his area, he says, if the measure should pass, my assessment would be that all of those properties get their property taxes paid by the state. He's talking about all of the corporate interests and so on and so forth. So what would happen at the state level is you would tell us as the Appropriations Committee, quote, pay my residential property tax for me from the state, and then I want you to take my sales tax money that I pay, I want you to take my income tax money that I pay, and I want you to take oil taxes that are paid by the oil industry on my behalf and pay those to corporations like Walmart so they don't have to pay any taxes. And the thing is, Walmart already is getting a break. Other companies like that are already getting a break, but we're not getting a break. So yes, when this passes, everyone who's paying property taxes gets a break. Primarily us. Residential property taxes, 40% of all property taxes. That's the majority compared to commercial or agricultural. It's over 40%. So places like Walmart are getting the breaks. We're not. When this passes, we all get a break. Okay. So that's kind of crazy to say that. But here's where it really gets interesting. He also talks about how you have to get 2.6 billion out of the $6 billion general fund. Completely untrue. He knows it. All the legislators that are big spenders say this. They try and convince you it's got to come out of the general fund. Everybody knows that North Dakota has more than one fund that we spend a bunch of money out of. The second major one is called the SIF fund, SIIF, Strategic Investment and Improvement Fund. So he knows this is not true. He's not being genuine here, but getting down now to the biggest thing. He's saying one of the biggest distributions for that oil tax is to give back to the political subdivisions in North Dakota. So the 900 million is going to be on the chopping block in some degree. So we may get some property tax relief, but we're going to take away probably whatever the Williams County allocation is. He's talking about Williams County for Williston. So I want you to really bear this in mind. I've just shown you the things that the legislature spends money on. 125 million here, 95 million there, 140 million there, 12 million there, 600,000 there, on and on and on. So Brad is saying, hey, listen, I don't want to scare you or anything, but all the $900 million that locals are currently getting, we're going to cut that. We're not going to cut the corporate welfare. We're not going to cut all that other stuff that I just told you about. He doesn't want to cut that. He's trying to tell you he's going to cut spending on local communities. Is that nuts? Is that not crazy to you? Here's another one. He says the Operation Prairie Dog, 230 million. He said, oh yeah, they're probably going to cut that. And social services. Here, listen to this. So Bekkedahl brought up that social services funding for counties comes from a $250 million oil revenue stream per biennium. So then he says, we would have to take that away as well. I mean, Brad, you're going to take everything away from the people, but you're still going to be paying out the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to private businesses? Do you not see the problem here? Senator Bekkedahl, we see through this. Enough is enough. Stop giving our taxpayer dollars that we worked hard for to private businesses. And to suggest that you're going to cut funding to social services, you're going to cut funding to the local communities that the state is providing right now, you're going to do that over the opportunity to cut the wasteful spending on private businesses. Shame on you, man. Shame on you. So that is it. I just want to make it real clear. This is what the opposition is saying. This is what reputable people who generally mean well, but even Senator Bekkedahl, so I'm dishonest in this article, so dishonest. And what he's doing is painting a picture of fear. The sky is falling. This is what they're all doing, folks. So please don't fall for it. Do not give up this opportunity for the biggest tax relief you will ever see in your life. How'd you like that $500 tax relief that you had to apply for and some of you didn't get because you couldn't for various technical reasons? $500 tax relief doesn't really mean much when your property taxes increase more than $500, does it? Enough said. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Setting the record.